All right, we are back with round 7 of the Florida Regional Championships. We have Colin Harrier versus Wolf Glick. Wolf is running the Thunderous, Kyogre, Landorus, Ferrothorn, Dialga, and Salamence versus Colin's Landorus, Thunderous, Cresselia, Mawile, Kyogre, and Rayquaza. I don't think we've seen a Dialga all day.
I think we saw one earlier.
Did we?
It might have popped out. I don't think it did too much. But definitely it's something that not many people are picking up on. Although it was really, really popular back in 2010, then there is sort of parallel to this format we have. It's not seen as much play now, which is... It's in an awkward place. It does really well against Xerneas. It's also super weak to Xerneas. So I'd be interested to see if he brings it. See if it has a place against Colin's team.
Yeah, both trainers didn't take any time to select their teams. I think they both know what they're doing going into this game. I'm excited. I mean, these are both two really amazing players, and to have them paired up this close to finals, or well, to top cut at least, you know, this could decide who cuts.
Yeah, this is, I mean, these two players are players of high pedigree. Both made really, really deep runs at Worlds.
Yeah.
Colin leading with Cresselia Mawile, the kind of team he did make one of those deep runs at Worlds with, you know, looking to trick her and put pressure on. And Wolfie leads with a pretty much sort of 2013-esque?
2013, 14, 15.
I mean, is this the right year? Are we playing?
I don't know. I mean, if I wasn't certain that at least one of them has to have a primal in the back, I'd say that this was, 2015, a year ago.
Yep.
We are going to see that Thunderous switch out, and in its place, we're going to see Ferrothorn. So that means Wolf only brought one of his restricted Pokemon, if that.
Yeah, it's usually, most people don't like to do that. They like to, make sure they've got...
Colin did too. Not to interrupt you, but Colin just sent in his Landorus for his Mawile, picking up a second Intimidate, also revealing that he only brought one Primal.
Yeah, they're both more interested in bringing the supporting Pokemon. Wolfie's showing off straight A U-turn. Gives Colin a little clue about the items, Yeah,
usually you only see U-turn on choice items, right? Or choice, something like that. Choice
band
spreads.
or choice scarf. And Colin may be able to use how much damage it did to try and figure out which of the two choice items it is.
Yeah, so it looks like Cresselia psychicked the now Ferrothorn, not doing any damage, and Wolf sent in his Dialga for that Landorus. So we know that Wolf's 4 Pokemon he brought are Dialga, Ferrothorn, Thunderous, and Landorus, and we're still wondering which primal or which restricted Pokemon that Colin brought.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he wants to show it too early. The interesting thing, most people when they bring Dialga is they're looking for it to be Trick Room and offensive, so they can set up Trick Room and without having to switch, they then proceed to do damage. But I'm not sure if Wolfie really wants to set up a Trick Room, because Colin obviously benefits from it with Pokemon like his Mawile, and you probably find other things have been less invested in speed. So I think it's like, do I set it up, do I not? Or they could have the turn where they both try and set it. Obviously not what we're going to see with Dialga leaving the field right away to get another Intimidate down from Landorus.
Yeah, definitely not intimidating for the Cress's sake. I think he might be assuming that Colin's Landorus might go for a superpower onto the Ferrothorn, trying to keep it alive. Cresselia goes for Helping Hand, and Landorus reveals Earthquake. So Cresselia's not going to take damage, Landorus won't take damage, but Ferrothorn probably not a lot. Even with that Intimidate, it is just really bulky and does not take any form of super effective damage from that Earthquake. And it takes this opportunity to set up a Leech Seed against Cresselia, so that's even more health that it'll get back every turn.
Really showing off what it can do. If you've not got the right pressure on it, if it's sort of there to do its own thing, set up Leech Seeds, it can protect and buy time, just recovering with leftovers and such. And it now forces the Cresselia out, or he just gives away health every turn to the Leech Seed.
Yeah, I mean, is it possible that this Landorus could Trick Room? I mean, I think it's only attacked one turn so far. It could not be Choice Scarfed, or apparently it's not, because it does go for the superpower.
He showed the Life Orb off at the end of last turn.
Correct, I missed that. Unfortunately, because of that Intimidate, Superpower will not pick up the KO on that Ferrothorn. And Landorus taking a decent amount of damage from the recoil, or not from the recoil, from Iron Barbs and from the Life Orb.
Yeah, it actually does a significant amount of damage to itself. It's almost like it attacked.
It really is.
With the Life Orb recoil and the Iron Barbs, it's a lot of hurt for not a lot of trouble from Wolfie's side. He gets the U-turn away into the Dialga though.
So
Ferrothorn gets to set another Leech Seed down. It's now got double seeds, and it's probably looking to next turn
and
protect.
And Cresselia sets up Trick Room, which kind of gave Ferrothorn the advantage here. I mean, most likely Ferrothorn will protect next turn. It does not have a lot of health, and taking leftovers, Leech Seed, and then taking another round of leftovers, Leech Seed would certainly bring it back up to probably slightly over half health.
Oh, most certainly. And I think it's interesting Colin sets the Trick Room. I mean, with the Ferrothorn on the field, you rarely want to do that, purely because the Ferrothorn benefits greatly from it. It then starts to get to go first in the turn. There's no real reason for Ferrothorn to be too concerned right now.
So if you're Colin, what do? Do you undo your own Trick Room, realizing your horrible mistake, or do you just kind of go with it and just hope that, maybe you have something in the back to destroy Ferrothorn? Because I think Ferrothorn's his win condition right now.
Yeah, I think as we see the switch here, he's going to bring in Mawile, which is the thing he wants there to really try and sweep through the team. There could be awkward bluffs where they're trying to reverse each other's Trick Room in the same turn and potentially keep it up. But I think this is definitely an interesting position. Ferrothorn predicts the switch and puts the lead seed right back down.
And unfortunately, Dialga does attack into that Mawile with a Dragon Pulse, and Cresselia undoes the Trick Room.
Yeah, as you suggested, he's realized this was a bad decision and goes to reverse it.
I don't blame him. I mean, you give Ferrothorn 2 sets of Leech Seed and leftovers, knowing that it has Protect as well. You really need to deal with that somehow, and giving it a speed advantage, I think, is not the best first step towards doing that.
Not at all, and I think Wolfie making that Predict to get the Leech Seed back up definitely helps him. His Protect counter is still on 100% rather than 30 for a second Protect, and he's in a good position to just start recovering.
Yeah. It makes you wonder. I mean, if Colin has that Rayquaza in the back, I would think now would be an amazing time to send it out and just hopefully overheat. And, we already know that Wolf did not bring his Kyogre, but instead we're going to see that Landorus again, stacking a 3rd or 4th Intimidate on that Ferrothorn. Maybe Earthquake could help out here, but then you have to wonder, do you kill your own Mawile for this play? I don't think that's the right way.
No, and I think the Mawile is sort of, but Colin has the Life Orb on his Landorus, so unlike most, he doesn't have to make a rash decision now on what he locks into. He's not thinking, I have to Earthquake for the rest of the game, or I just have to Rock Slide. He finally shows us his last one with the Kyogre.
That's not good. I mean, I think for Colin, he needs to beat the Ferrothorn either this turn or next turn. Otherwise, it's just going to destroy his team.
Yeah, now we've seen all of Colin's team. He appears to be sort of almost lacking a Ferrothorn answer. And while Landorus can do good damage, it appears it's just not enough.
It really isn't.
Particularly if he's allowing the Ferrothorn to heal back up to full health every time. That's going to be a problem. I mean, it's not going to be able to knock things out. It's been intimidated enough. But Leech Seed is going to really start to rack up. Yeah,
we're going to see a double Protect on Wolfie's side of the field, possibly hoping to, heal Ferrothorn more, stop Mawile's Play Rough from connecting with that Dialga. I think after this turn, if Ferrothorn's not at full health, it's going to be pretty darn close.
Yeah, it's right up there. It's over 90% most likely. At this point, it's again not scared, and considering how low the first superpower took it, Colin appears to just be not afraid of it, which is almost weird.
Yeah, so here's the question for Colin, though. Do you attack the Ferrothorn this turn, knowing that it can just easily Power Whip your Kyogre into oblivion, or...?
Well, he's been intimidated, so it's not too concerned.
He's been intimidated, and, Water Spout and Play Rough will connect with the Dialga.
Goodness.
The Dialga lives with about 10 HP and restores HP with its Citrus Berry. Ferrothorn's going for the Power Whip onto Kyogre. It will connect, and picks up a crit, I believe, knocking it out through those multiple Intimidates, leaving Dialga free to possibly set up Trick Room again, which it does.
Yeah, that is the perfect critical hit. If there is a time for the perfect storm to come together, if Ferrothorn can drop a critical hit when Colin's just expecting it to do sort of maybe half, maybe 20%, he gets way more than he bargained for and manages to drop a full Kyogre down in one hit.
Definitely. I believe that Trick Room, that critical hit, really just sealed the deal for Wolf. I mean, he played fantastically well this game with that Ferrothorn, knowing to keep it alive and keep... It's a weird kind of offensive pressure, relying on Leech Seed, relying on Protect, but if you just keep stacking that chip damage and your opponent can't attack you, then, that's it.
Yeah, I think it's one of those games where something went wrong at Team Preview, and I think Colin may have thought, oh, he won't bring Ferrothorn, but he did. And without a real answer outside of the Landorus, then he's kind of struggled. With the Trick Room up, Landorus is probably going to be going after the Dialga. Fortunately for Colin, though, he has Mawile in. So Mawile can pressure the Dialga, and Landorus can pressure the Ferrothorn.
Yeah.
Which is definitely a good thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, just looking over these two players' teams, Colin did have the Rayquaza. I'd be curious as to why he didn't bring it. A lot of Rayquazas do run Overheat or some kind of fire move. But, I mean, Ferrothorn's protecting this turn, hoping to get the rest of its HP back. Dialga protects as well. It looks like he's just trying to stall out this match, and I don't know, maybe just hope he can set up Ferrothorn for the sweep.
Yeah, I think he just wants to make sure that before he gets hit by a superpower from a Life Orb Landorus with no Intimidates on it, he wants to make sure he has as much health as possible.
Yeah, Ferrothorn's really going to need it.
Yeah, superpower's going to hurt whatever it hits. Although he could maybe, he can't really kill the Landorus. Let's say they both threaten each other in awkward ways, but Wolfie does have two more in the back, so even if he clears these out, he then has to clear out the next two.
Yeah, unfortunately, Thundurus Landorus isn't the best matchup against Mawile Landorus. That Landorus, if it were to be sent out, would pick up another Intimidate on both of these physical attackers. Thundurus is free to Thunder Wave or Swagger or, pretty much do whatever it wants. Unless Colin gets lucky with, a Rock Slide critical hit or maybe Trick Room not being done by the time they're sent out on the field. I think this is pretty decisively game.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, definitely. The Landorus can do a lot, and the Ferrothorn switches out now, which is definitely the right call.
Yeah.
The Leaf Seeds will still be there to put health back on the Landorus in this case, but he does get the Intimidate on both of these Pokemon, both of whom who really want their attack at full.
That's some really good foresight on Wolf's part, honestly. I think a lot of players, if they were in Wolf's position, would just go for the closing attacks, try to wrap up the game before it goes on too long. But, in Wolf's case, he still sees that, if he can stack a couple more Intimidates, if he can, just get a couple more turns of damage, Life Orb damage on that Landorus, it really just will make sure that he has a 100% chance of taking this game home.
Yeah, it's such... Wolfie's always seen a win condition where he needs to see it. And although some people would say, oh, it's too safe, it's not the right play, these two Pokemon that Colin has out on the field do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
He wants to make sure he gets an Intimidate in sooner rather than later, so that they're not doing as much to him.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Ferrothorn come in for that Landorus again this turn, just so we can get, yet another Intimidate on these two Pokemon.
Yeah, Wolfie's also shown that it's probably a choice item, and in the past he's U-turned away with it.
Yeah.
So while the Landorus isn't really threatened, he can U-turn, bring something in, and then bring it in for, again, another Intimidate, forcing Colin, similar to Wolfie, to fish for a critical hit.
Yeah. Well, we are going to see something change out. We're going to see the Thundurus switch out and Ferrothorn come in its place. And are we going to see the Landorus switch out too? We do not. Ferrothorn dodges the play rough.
The second play rough he's missed in a row.
Second play rough he's missed in a row. U-turn does connect with Mawile. Doesn't do a lot of damage, but I think he was looking more for the safe switch for Landorus than anything else here. Whether or not we see Thundurus come in again or we're going to see Dialga come out on the field is to be seen. I would think he'd send in Thundurus because, Landorus could have very well gone for yet another superpower against that slot. And Dialga doesn't really like superpower that much.
Yeah, with the ability to U-turn, he can sort of swap his Pokemon around very, very quickly. Whereas, most teams you'd have to swap it out and then swap something in next turn. He can cycle through Pokemon a lot quicker now.
Yeah.
And that's one of the joys of those U-turn switching moves.
Yeah. Looks like he's taken his time trying to pick which Pokemon he wants to send out. Do you think it's possible he's also running down the clock? I mean, if you look, we only have 2 minutes left.
Yeah, this has been something that Wolfie's done in the past, and he's almost known for it now. He predicts the superpower, why he put the Thundurus in rather than the Dialga in this case. But yeah, he's definitely aware of that clock timer.
Yeah, I remember, I think it was last year in Massachusetts, Wolfie ran I think it was a Parish Trap timer stall team that saw a lot of success there. I believe he either made top 4 or finals with it. So I think this is one of the strategies that he's really known for. keeping an eye on the clock, keeping an eye on all of his win conditions. Like, this game is entirely in his control right now.
Yeah, I mean, with the amount of time left, there's only a couple more moves. With all the leech seeds down, I mean, there's still a leech seed on Mawile, which is going back to Thundurus. And Ferrothorn, although it doesn't want to get super powered, it probably could still afford to put another leech seed down.
Yeah.
With the Intimidates in particular, it can definitely take the superpower from Life Orb.
Yeah.
So, it's a really good position, like we say. Wolfie definitely looking at the clock now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, heck, I think Ferrothorn could eat a superpower crit at this point and still be okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a case of Ferrothorn's been allowed to do what it wants for quite a while.
Yeah.
And not being able to take it out.
We are going to see a double protect on Wolfie's side of the field. And Colin possibly looking for some relief here. Sucker punches his own Landorus, leaving Mawile to die to the Leech Seed damage. Or if not die, get pretty darn close.
Yeah, I think next turn it goes down.
So yeah.
With 10 seconds on the clock, this is the last turn we're going to see, and it's Wolfie's game. I mean, 4 is greater than 1, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Colin goes ahead, clicks in the forfeit. I can't blame him for having a little bit of fun there with that sucker punch.
Yeah, that was a really tough game for him. I mean, he was trying to put down a lot of offensive pressure, and Wolfie did, as he usually does, a lot of switching, trying to keep a lot of predicting as well. He's probably played Colin a number of times in sort of high-level regionals and national tournaments.
Yeah.
So they can get in each other's heads a lot more than with a sort of player you don't know.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely an interesting interaction, and Wolfie really sort of got in the lead early with the Ferrothorn putting down a lot of damage for free, essentially.
Yeah.
And he managed to keep that momentum up all game.
Yeah, Wolfie definitely showed in this game that, he is really one of those top-tier players who just knows everything that's going on in the field, knows how to play it, just,
Yeah, I
does
think
it well.
This team looks to particularly almost choke people out of the game.
It really does.
Done before, and even in a format like this where it's so big and there's a lot of damage going down every turn, he can just really find a way to slow it down, which is definitely a skill of his in every meta game we've played.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think that's it for round 7. There's one more round left of Swiss here in Florida, and then we will move on to Top Cut, so please stay tuned, and thank you all for watching.